The purpose of this webinar is to get an overview of all the opportunities that you can get with PLM as a document management system, and also some inspiration for current customers using our products and ENOVIA. Okay, what is a document? These days, information is everywhere. It could be consisting of parts, it could be consisting of complete documents, it could be stored in databases, it could be images, videos, labels, drawings. Depends on what branch, what perspective you have of viewing information, what you call a document. And the definition is quite unclear what a document really is, so that could be a problem why it's so hard to manage document these days. And the trend is that information will increase over time and take new shapes. And how to handle this, that we will see in the coming future. If we take a quite concrete example of how it could look like in the company, where do we find different kind of documents or information parts? So if you look at a traditional company, we have of course some connection to the market and the customers. We have the sales, where we have offers, offer drawings. We have connections with contracts. And we work together in projects. All of this creates documents quite complex to handle. And we have traditionally, from the branch that we represent, the PLM business, a stronghold in R&D departments, where we generate lots of information to describing our products, drawings, specifications, all kind of stuff that tells how the product should be produced or described or sold. And then to that we have lots of things that's generated during the journey, from the beginning of the product or the part, or the services for that matter. It could be certificates, tests, viewing formats, images, so on. And we also have partners that help us to create products and services that we have, and that we would like to communicate with and collaborate with. So, and there is of course lots of more information and documents that are needed to do all these different kinds of things. And this is just an example of the amount of different documents or information pieces that describe the process around the value that the company creates. And this has to be stored somewhere and also be searchable somewhere. And the question is, what can PLM do for this? What I will be presenting this day during this webinar is ENOVIA and TVC. That's product from Dassault Systems and Technia, and the small video clips that you will see is from a system that we have as a presenter. It's a non-customer system. And to start with, I will go through some of the user interface, and we will also see some functions in the system, just to give you ideas how it could be used. For those who are not used to the PLM system, we will take it in a very basic manner of this. The system itself is of course a database where we store everything, and it's a web-based system where we can utilize this all around the world on all kind of platforms. To start with, we have the user interface, and I will show you a small clip of how it works. First, we have the graphical user interface, we have the search form, we have configurable part of the system where the user itself can restructure how we would like to work with the system. And there are configurable tabs for different disciplines, different areas of interest. What we are focusing on today is the document part of it. Configurable menus. Okay. The main interface is based upon gadgets, and it could be configurable for the user needs. And if we go through here, some technical problems here. Then we start to look into some of the user actions here, or the use cases that we are interested of. Of course, we would like to create the document, and the document for us is a holder in the database that keeps all the metadata and, in many cases, files. Let's have a look at that. For doing this, we have to describe the document and also categorize the document in a certain way. So we do that by entering metadata, choose the type of the document, and some description, what it is. And then we have template support for getting the corporate standard or the standard of how it should look like. What's happened here is that we create a document entity, and this document is, the number is generated from the database, so it's a unique holder for this information. We get a template file checked out with the right type of format, and we have the functions for handling this document. So it's very easy to create a new document, and this document is not attached to anything as it is now, so let's go further. Then another part of it is to administrate the template itself. And then you log in as an template administrator row that could set the templates for each type of object, as we saw when we created the document. So here is the administrative view of each type, each document type that we have. Here we have support for different versions. We have support for different languages if we would like. We can control this at access level, so it could be distributed in different parts of the organization and for different roles and so on. So to create a new template, just create a type, select the type or the types we would like to attach the template file. And the template file itself is a document that is handled by the policy of this. And what meaning there is that all things have a life cycle, so we can have versioning of the templates themselves and also a release process of the templates. There's also a way of hide different types for different purposes. So the visibility could also be set for different roles and different business units. PLM system is or databases themselves are often seen upon as quite complex systems, and many users are used to have been working in their own file management system or on the network drives. So just to show some easy cases where Windows-like behavior like copy and paste is common. This is copy. Could easily be done between folders. So the difference between using PLM system or the network drive is not so big. So it's quite easy to copy an object and push it into another kind of folder. We'll go back to folders later on. So in this case, I copied the document and I got a copy. This is a fake number, so just for showing you how it could be done. Also, Windows functionality like drag and drop is available. And in this case, we drag a file into an existing document, that is, so we can store many files on one document object, if you like. So very easy, drag and drop. You can also have bigger drop zones for more, like Dropbox is very popular. These kind of behaviors that are known as common standard today. Another thing is to have a more loose way of making comments and sorry for that. Some technical problems with my viewer here. Do like this. And we back this one. So this is a document object we have here. And now we would like to give some additional information to this one. And we use the wiki functionality that is standard part of the technical component. And here we can also comment, for instance, in a review flow or in a decision meeting or addendum protocols. Here we can add document to a document in a PLM sense, or unstructured way, but we keep it as reference documents. We can also attach pictures, decisions, supporting documents. So the comment is added as a little icon like that. And this could be then edited and also further refreshed in the process. Mail is one of the most used documents these days, and very important to have a good cooperation with the mail systems. So in this case, I would like to show you how you can easily, from Outlook, drag and drop, in this case attachment or whole mails, into the system. So what we are doing here is just drop it, and the system will generate a file. So the attachment is there. It could also be that we generate a mail if we drop the whole mail. So easily drag and drop to get this done. That was all for the document part. Then we have the structure management part, where we structurize the document. As I told earlier, we are often very used of working in folder structures in our computers or on our network drives. And this part will show how you work with repositories and folders. So in this case, I log in as a document administrator. I have my repository, and the repository could be seen upon as equal to a network drive or a root in your file system. So we enter some metadata to create a repository. And this repository thing is not dependent on any kind of other module in ENOVIA. It's just based on the basic CPF. Now we created a repository. So I can build my folder structure by doing it manually like this. Or I can use further on a template management of this. So I can copy a structure and then have a standardized way of treating folders. So, and then one important thing is to set the access of the folders. And in this case, we're doing it by using roles. And here can I assign roles for the different folders that I created, and I get a colorful scheme where I can easily see this. And this would be done on personal level or in role level. And it's easy to change it like this. Further folder functions we are often to be some kind of importing, for instance, from a project, from a sub-supplier or another kind of partner, import a large amount of data. So we start with exports. That I have some technical problems with that. So if you look at export, so if I would like to take out the documents in a certain folder, I can download the folder content. From that, I will generate a file, zip file, containing the content of that folder that I selected. I unzip the folder, and the content in the folder is an HTML file and an Excel file containing two ways of showing the data in the structure. So this is kind of an offline document management. So you can see what it contains, this folder, and we also got the files. And to open the file, I just click on it. And the metadata is collected from the system. Sorry for not being able to show in the import function, but it works vice versa. You import from an Excel file with your files, and you will create the objects in the database. Just to go further, we have the process of releasing and changing the documents. And using this, we use a graphical way of describing the process. The process we can describe in a workflow. This is to involve if client. So what you see here, just back this a little bit. It's a document where I have a tab called workflow, where I defined the way of doing the release of the project, the document. And here I can use templates for different workflows. So in this case, I have a prepared one. This is a distribution list, and I can also dynamically define either persons or roles where I would like. These workflow are dynamic, so I can have several. We can also steer the workflow if it's mandatory or optional. Red means mandatory, black means optional. So this will build up the workflow and the task-driven process. So then I start the workflow when I'm satisfied. And then the workflow is generated. This is a graphical overview over the workflow. All tasks that will be sent out is looking like that. The yellow one indicates the current one. And the yellow task will end up within a mail notification or like a task in the inbox task. So here is the inbox, where we can see the different tasks that you have for reviewing documents. Open that task up, do the review, and accept the task. Now the workflow is progressing, and the content will have different states during the journey. So next person in line will get his task. He will approve and do the review. And all the content is served in one view. And this is also reached by mails that are directly sent to this person. So let's have a look at the flow. These two first was the one that we saw in the flow. They make the approval, and then we have the distribution list that is automatically acknowledged just as notification. Through this process, we can also steer upon PDF generation and communication to other systems by triggering. That was a short one. And if we talk about change management in that aspect, it behaves the same. You revise the document, you have the new preliminary version of the document, and you go the same way. For those who is into the PLM business, you know about engineering change or change orders in general. That can also be combined with this. So you can have a change order that controls many objects in the same release by doing the same thing. Then we will talk about free text search. Inside ENOVIA, there is an engine for indexing data. Do like this. Sorry. In the user interface, we have this global search bar here, where we can enter the Boolean search criteria and joker signs. And the search result will be presented in a table like this, where we can find our desired needs. And in the left-hand upper right corner, upper left corner, we have the type list or the taxonomies that we can filter upon. One many can be selected, and dynamically when we choose things, the search result will update. This is an online search. Depending on the rule you have as a user, the result page will also be filtered. Combined with this, we can add criteria in the left-hand side here on metadata that is related to the result page that we have. So by enter, for instance, the originator, and here we also see directly how many hits we have for each type of originator. So in this case, we can navigate by searching and getting the object that we were desired. This free text engine is also containing search in files, and what we saw now was metadata. The search in files will mean that it search inside the content. And let's move on to the mobile access. Today, almost everybody have a computer in their pocket or with them in some kind. Either it's a smartphone, or tablet, or whatever. So there's a big need of having mobile access to the document in the document management system. This client that I will show you is a platform-independent platform where it emulates the scene. So independent from Android, iOS, Apple, and all that, it will emulate the HTML in a very user-friendly style. So what you see here is the same information, but in another kind of graphical layout, more friendly for your fingers. And this is the main page, the desk. This is actually an Apple iPhone 4 that we see. And then if we continue, I go to my documents. I get the result. See my list. I can open up my document object. I see the metadata, the files that I have attached to it. I have a menu for viewing other kind of information, files, images, history. From here I can check out my file. Can use search for finding documents in the database. Enter different criteria. Get some search result. And get the answer of the metadata and the file that is connected to that. That was a little bit about mobile access, and we continue. PDF generation is one important part of getting information out in a neutral format these days. There are many different kind of formats and many different ways of viewing document outside the company or for other parties in the process. So any kind of outputting is very important from a document management perspective. And maybe start with what we can view in the system. Today, there's lots of different kind of way of viewing documents, and any viewer can be integrated into the ENOVIA system or the PLM system. And that could be done in different ways. It could be the native program that shows what it is. It could be a plug-in to the browser, and almost any open source or native product could be used. Regarding formats and what could be stored and viewed, there are no limits, but it depends on, of course, on which viewer that you have. One of the most popular or used viewing format these days is PDF by Adobe, and this is an example how the PDF could be integrated into the process of a document. This is the life cycle of a document, a typical life cycle, where we have preliminary, where we create the state, where we create the document. Here it could be good to have a function that makes preliminary copies for your colleagues or for other parties that are interested in early drafts. Then when it gets more formal for the process, we often trigger that we generate a PDF copy, maybe with a watermark and timestamp, where we state that this is for review. And then they cannot, the persons that are involved in the process of reviewing the document cannot change the content of it. And this is sent to a machine or a black box where the content of the file is generated through either the TIFF or a good solution is the AdLib Express server. And that will generate the PDF. The PDF is then generated in the system and can be used in the process. And then when the PDF is released, then we remove the watermark said that is under review or preliminary, and we clean it. So it's a new PDF. And when this document will be reviewed, revised or obsoleted, we will generate a PDF file here. This is quite a complex but very needed process to keep track of all the neutral formats. This enables that many people in the company can reach and access the information. Traditionally, we are almost in all branches are used to get paper copies in some way. Traditionally, there could be demands from different kind of certifications or customers or whatever to get a paper copy out of it, put it in a folder. So let's have a look at batch printing to get lots of information out from the system in one folder. So what to do here, I select a folder where I would like to print the files in it. So we use a function called batch print, and this will end up all the documents that are in that folder. We are able to select the printer, amount of copy, and what format that we like. This could of course be filtered out and set up as we decide, depending on format or access. So in this case, I'm just interested on these certain ones. to send the batch to the printer, and that could also be done by sending it to a file or as a mail, depending on how we set it up. The main idea is to get out information easily from the system. Then we come to the publishing. Publishing is, by definition, something where you take things out and make it public outside the system. Selected two customers where they have ENOVIA PLM information, documents information on the internet directly. So this is from the internet directly. And this could be done in different ways. In this case, we have tagged the information that this is public, and we have a processor behind it. And in this case, we search for CAD drawings, so CAD search. This is on the web page, and we enter some search criteria, and this search will directly go into the database and search and find information. So here we see information from the different document objects. We see two different formats, 2D DXF file and a PDF file that is generated in ENOVIA. And this could, of course, be configured as desired. And here we see the file itself. It's a drawing, and this is one good way of distributing information to broad scale. Another way of doing it is make it in contextual form, when the format is actually not as a document from the beginning. So this is product information, data sheet for different kind of products, all stored in the PLM system. Let's choose one of the products. This information is stored in the PLM system, picture, metadata. So this is actually not a document as it is now here, but when you print it out, it's actually a document. It's formatted in a certain way. So that is two ways of many to publish data externally or internally. Internally it could be more narrow, so it's more inside the system. Talking about collaboration, one of the documents today is part of information collaboration, and what I tried to show today is how we can do this by support of the system, by workflow, to have a graphical view of where the process is. And this is becoming more and more important since companies are distributed around the world. Also collaborating with other kind of parties like customers, partners, suppliers, for exchanging documents in a controlled way. By a PLM system, we can have a good view of what is distributed or what is published to certain parties by security. And security is also a very important thing these days. And that is secured by having all this in a secure database. So the files are hard to access from outside. Scalability. System to grow with. Often you start small and maybe think big, and system grows and document and information will grow. So when you're thinking about having a document management system, you need to think how it would look like in 5 or 10 years. Maybe that's hard, but in 3 years the information will grow tremendously. And also new technologies, new kind of files, new kind of formats will emerge. And these kind of systems that ENOVIA PLM represent are quite insensitive for that kind of changes. Also capabilities in various areas. We can store whatever we like, all from laboratory material to drawings. So there is no matter of what you put into the system. Mobility. This buzzword is very important these days, because more and more we are traveling and we are anywhere, and then you need your working documents anywhere. And the platforms are changing all the time. So the platform that we represent here is to be quite generic, so it fits into all kind of different kind of devices. And at last, we have searchability. Doesn't matter how many systems you have and how you store your documents or data, if you can't find it. And in many places what we see today, we see lots of different management systems on department, in different business branches, business departments, or companies, sister companies, and so on. And there are very nice solutions, but they are not together and not in context. So over time, they will be kind of redundant data. So what PLM stands for is more like getting everything into a context. Easy to find. And also, when you search upon a document, you maybe not start from the document itself. It may be a product you know about, or a project, or an organization, etc. So from that, you can find the document. And this is made by relationships. And since we have a relation database where we don't duplicate document as in the world where we have several systems where we duplicate information, we can trust the data as well. So the data that we have is consistent and could be viewed from many different ways. And also to make it possible for all parties in a company to find the data, the part of the data that are both allowed and desired. So that is the final takeaway from this webinar, that PLM gives the opportunity to store almost everything, get a good structure of the information, and can handle documents quite easily. So I thank you for attending this. It will be open for questions and answers for 50 minutes. And you're able to chat and push questions in the webinar. And so thank you.